Welcome back to the already fifth episode of the S Word podcast, The Sustainable Hotel. And what a journey it's been so far. You've learned how to communicate sustainability and what to communicate. And if you listened to last week's episode, we gave you some homework, and you might have taken the time to define your sustainability story, which would be nice by now because we're going to focus on that in this episode. It's time to bring that story out into the world. So stay with us until the end of the episode because we'll be sharing a special offer with lots of extra value for you. Onwards.
Yes, because once you have your sustainability storytelling in place, it's time to start communicating it. We know it's easy to get excited about your hotel's new sustainability story and understandable to you that you want to communicate it to your guests and other external stakeholders as soon as possible. However, there is one crucial step to consider before shouting about your sustainability practices from the rooftop, and that's internal communication. Your internal communication will make or break the authenticity of your external communication. What good is it to tell your guests about your sustainability features if your team can't answer questions on site about them? I mean, hotels tend to fail at their sustainability activities because internal communication is not structured enough and the team is not involved. And it's not just about employees knowing what to communicate to guests, it's about employees knowing how their jobs are impacted by sustainability, how they are contributing to sustainability. At the end of the day, they are the ones implementing your sustainability measures. They are the ones doing the work. Therefore, they need to know everything. So, what does this mean for you? Make sustainability actionable, clearly outlining how employees can put it into action and what it means for their jobs, for their tasks. Provide resources and trainings to help your various departments to implement sustainability internally. Host monthly sustainability town halls to build engagement and motivation around your sustainability strategy and communicate your progress, what's coming next. Open up as well a two-way communication by sending out surveys, creating a dedicated email address, or taking other such measures to gather feedback, get their ideas, share their progress, and answer questions, isn't it, Natasha?
That's right, Lena. So once you've committed internally and your employees are involved and engaged in the topic of sustainability, only then can you communicate it to your guests, your partners, your local community, and the media. Here, the key is to ensure that no matter what audience you're speaking to and what channel you're using to speak to them, your external communication is aligned in terms of messaging and brand identity. And this isn't just about sustainability. I feel like this is something that
Yeah.
comes up in marketing communications a lot is the alignment of messaging across all
Yeah, right.
channels. That is something that a lot of companies out there are not doing very well. So that's something to just bear in mind and focus on. Just make sure that you're sharing the same sustainability story, of course, adapted for the audience, but the core message stays the same and the same tone of voice across all your channels. With that, you have to define your external communication channel mix, whether that's your social media accounts, newsletter, website. To reach those audiences, you have all these options in your comms mix. To determine what those are, ask yourself, where do I find my stakeholders? What offline and online media do they consume? Which social media channels are your hotel guests most active on? And so on. This will help you define your mix of channels. So now let's zoom into one audience that I know a lot about, the media. How do you pitch your hotel sustainability story to the media? A question we get asked a lot.
Yeah.
So first off, one of my tips is to make sure that the journalist or media person you're pitching your story to is actually interested in your hotel or the destination or sustainability in general. There are so many mass pitches going out that just aren't relevant to the journalist that you're pitching to. So it definitely pays off to do your research, see if they've written about topics that relate to the story that you're sharing as well, and just follow up with them on that. So you can provide them with valuable research and insights for follow-up pieces or give them new story angles. To make sure that you keep your story pitch concise, if the journalist is interested, they will be in touch. So just make sure that you keep it concise. It has to be short and to the point, and don't follow up more than once. If you haven't heard from them, there's a reason, and it's probably because they're not interested. So journalist inboxes are incredibly full at all times. So just make sure that your subject line is to the point and shares the key message of your pitch. So it's easy for them to decide whether your email is worth opening or not. Be quick to respond when they have follow up questions and provide the opportunity to interview a relevant spokesperson where needed.
Yeah.
So maybe your hotelier. Have a folder readily available for press use with high resolution photography that they can just download and grab and use. So these are just general media rules, but they very much apply to pitching stories about sustainability to your hotel as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a helpful input, Natasha. And when we continue discussing now how to bring your sustainability story out in the world, we should not remiss to mention a very important point, which you mentioned already in previous episodes. It's tracking your progress. First, you want to report your progress. We always recommend creating an annual sustainability report that presents your hotel's purpose, strategy, and the key KPIs. So, the key performance indicators. And you'll be showing year over year data on how your sustainability efforts in your hotel evolve. And in our communication handbook, we've listed out all of the elements that should go into a sustainability report in more detail. The second part to tracking your progress is measuring your communications impact. To effectively do that, look at, for example, reach. How many stakeholders are you reaching, and are they the right stakeholders? The interaction. Are people engaging more with your hotel? Also, have a look at the awareness. Are you seeing increased coverage of your hotel? And as a last point, we always also suggest to have a look at attitudes and opinions. Have you witnessed a change in sentiment toward your hotel? Have you also changed behavior? Are you seeing an uptick, in bookings or other actions? Now, all social media platforms have their own metrics and insights that make it easy for you to monitor the reach of your communications and much more. Make use of these insights and regularly review your social media communications to adapt your content and pivot towards what works best for your audience. Well, Natasha, I think now it's time to move on to what you mentioned in introduction because we have something prepared for our listeners, isn't it?
That's right, Lina. Over the previous episode, you've learned how to communicate through sustainable communication. You've learned what to communicate and crafted your hotel sustainability story. And you've learned how to amplify your story to your internal and your external audiences. So at this point, let's bring it together through a case study that demonstrates the power of communication. And I'm aware that some of the listeners might not enjoy the reference to Airbnb because we're talking with hoteliers. So I'm sorry, but it is a wonderful case study. And Airbnb just does many things well when it comes to communication. I'm going to reference their Belong Anywhere campaign because it's much more than a campaign, it's their core P. It's their purpose.
Yeah.
They want to provide hosts and guests with a sense of belonging to a community. There are 4 elements that made the specific campaign a success. So I'm just going to list those out and hope that they're a good reference point for you. So the first one is emotional storytelling. Airbnb uses storytelling to communicate its brand message effectively. The company creates emotionally compelling videos and stories of hosts and travelers. So again, covering all sorts of stakeholders, emphasizing the idea that travel isn't just about where you want to go, but also about the people that you meet and the connections that you make. The second point is they use user generated content. So Airbnb encourages its users to share their own stories and experiences on social media using the hashtag belong anywhere. This not only showcases real life examples of the campaign's messages, but also engages the community, linking it back to people, in spreading the brand's value. So, in terms of sustainable communications, I'm a big fan of the user generated content aspect because it's often the most authentic, the most honest, and the least Photoshop form
Yeah,
of visual
you're so
communication.
right. We go back
Yeah,
to Instagram versus reality, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. The other element is localization, which again ties in with the people element. And Airbnb tailors its communication to different markets by featuring diverse hosts and travelers from various backgrounds and cultures. And this approach allows the company to connect with a wide range of potential guests. Again, in terms of communications around sustainability, the local aspect is the one that's key for hotels across the globe. So maybe take a look at the way Airbnb integrates locals and the community for inspiration on what your hotel could be doing in turn. Then, last but not least, we have community building. The campaign emphasizes the sense of community and belonging that Airbnb hosts offer to travelers. By highlighting hosts as ambassadors of local culture, Airbnb fosters a sense of trust and connection among hosts and guests. And so, all in all, Airbnb's Belong Anywhere campaign transforms the way people think about travel, shifting the focus from just accommodations to creating meaningful connections with local communities.
I think that's an amazing example, Natasha. And what else to say that it's time for you to start communicating. The Sustainable Hotel Handbook Communication. In this comprehensive handbook, we show you step by step how to communicate your sustainability initiatives in a sustainable way to help you achieve long term success. We've filled it with practical guidance, tools, and resources. We've included exercises that cover everything from defining your communication objectives to connecting your messaging to your audiences. We have templates in there to help you craft your sustainability story, checklists to help you get communicating in an actionable way. There are scorecards to help you measure your progress when it comes to communication and sustainability. There are interviews from top hoteliers, detailed case studies that are from companies that successfully communicate sustainability already. There are loads of MAP and Rupp PR approved resources, organization books, and more to help you along the way. I mean, you see.
It's a lot of value. We worked hard on this.
Yeah, and I mean, with this handbook, you will learn how to effectively and compellingly communicate your sustainability initiatives with the goal to help you build awareness for your brand, create a positive image of your hotel in the heads of guests, engage and motivate your employees, and better comply with reporting rules and regulations.
So, we're launching our handbook on October 6th, 2023, which is coming up shortly. And if you buy our handbook within a certain amount of time, we're going to leave all the information in the show notes for you with a special offer. You'll be sure to benefit. So,
Exactly. So please have a look at the show notes or visit thesustainablehotel.com now. Become part of our inclusive community and get notified about when you can buy the handbook with a very special discount and opportunity for you.
and of course, should you be listening to this episode after the launch period, which we're very grateful for, don't you worry. The handbook is always available for purchase on thesustainablehotel.com. We'll link it in our show notes. By buying it, you become a part of our community automatically, and you'll get the first access to expert talks, interviews, tools, templates, and future handbooks. This is a community of dreamers and doers, change makers, top hoteliers, people that are seeking to make the planet a more purposeful and hospitable place. Join us and create more impact together. With that, let's recap this episode. After having defined your sustainability story, you should first start with communicating internally so your employees know how they can help to implement your sustainability initiatives and what to communicate externally. Once that's done, you can then start an external communication. This includes identifying the channels that your stakeholders are on and understanding in what order to best reach out for them. But always make sure that despite the channel, you are aligned in terms of messaging and brand identity. Be sure to publish a yearly sustainability report that tracks your progress. And last but not least, monitor your communications effectiveness by looking at reach, interaction, awareness, attitudes, opinions, and behaviors.
Bye bye and stay tuned for more. Subscribe to this podcast on your favorite channel to get notified when the next episode goes online. Don't forget, if you're interested in more comprehensive guidance on sustainable communication and having the tools, resources, and support in place to make it happen, we've got a helpful handbook for you. Just go to thesustainablehotel.com to learn more and purchase it. Thank you for joining us on the journey to build a more hospitable and purposeful planet together.
Onwards.
Onwards.
The second season of the S Word podcast, The Sustainable Hotel, is all about sustainability and hospitality and how you realize more success by communicating your hotel's sustainability initiatives in a sustainable way. Visit thesustainablehotel.com to discover free tools, guides, templates, resources, and much more to guide your hotel in implementing sustainability in a holistic and impactful way.